Today I'm going to be reviewing this Career Men's Incontinent underwear. Those recently sent to me by the brand. In the video today I'm going to be kind of showing you exactly how well it absorbs water, or liquids I should say. I'm going to be using water of course in this test. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it out of here. This is what it's going to look like. They sent me this size extra large. So it comes with a little bag and then comes with, looks like 4 set of underwear. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and talk about the material first of all. So it is definitely going to be a thicker material. It does have a lining. So essentially this lining is what will go in there. It is going to be sewn in, so you cannot wash the lining separately. And it's got like wings almost on the sides to kind of keep any liquid from flowing out or flowing down. So that's going to go around. So it is going to make it a pretty thick pad. And then obviously you've got the waterproof lining on there on the back side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these out so you can kind of see what these are going to look like. So essentially that's how it's going to look. Now this is going to be extra large and these are going to be pretty big for an extra large for sure. That's larger than what I would typically assume with an extra large. I'd equate these more with like a 2XL almost, but I'm guessing they just are going to be made a little bit bigger because you have that extra padding in there for the incontinence. So let's go ahead and do a test of these. I'm just going to kind of lay it. I'm going to keep it at an angle on purpose, right? And the reason why I'm keeping an angle on purpose is because I assume when they're on, it's not going to be perfectly flat, right? So it's going to be at an angle. It's going to be turned sideways, that sort of thing. And so I want to test it like that. Now, again, since there's only going to be a pad in the middle, you're going to have to assume / hope that it's only going to be a leak in one specific location. So I'm just going to kind of pour it different angles. I'm not putting out a ton. This is obviously a good amount of liquid and a lot of it coming out at once, which depending on the level of the incontinence, there may be more or less, depending. You can see it did soak it up. It's not really sitting there anymore. And I do want to kind of look here on the front. So you can see on the material, there's no water that has leaked through. So that is working well there. Now it's essentially going to cover this entire section all the way down and then also up the back as well. So that's where that section is. It's going to have that water, that absorption for the incontinence, as well as, that lining, that waterproof lining that's in the back. So this is going to be really nice and wet. You can kind of see squeezing it there. There's going to be water. Now here's the only thing where I would possibly see some issues with this. Since it's only a single layer or a single section, right? So it's not all of it. It's just going to be this single section here. What I could foresee happening, again, this is going to be men's. What I could foresee happening is the water is not going to be going straight. So if you've got a dribble, okay, this is going to work. But if it is someone not being able to control their bladder, and let's say I'm trying to use words that are friendly here for videos, but let's say the item that is going to deposit the liquid is kind of sideways, right? So it's going to be sideways like this, and it's going to be coming out all in one direction. I could see that being an issue because it's not stretched all of the way across. You've got several inches, looks like maybe 6 inches or so that it's going to be across. And so anything beyond that, so let's say that it's, it's sitting right here, you're going to get some out because this is only going to be a pad, and the incontinence pad is only going to run down the center of these underwear. So it is something to keep in mind, specifically with these. I'm guessing that's true with all of them, unless they've got a pad that's going to be wider than that. I do want to grab a tape measure here just to give you the measurements on that. So let me go ahead and grab that. So the width of the pad itself, that's really what I was concerned with. And yeah, it's going to be a hair shy of 6 inches on across there. Here it's going to come down a little bit. So we're near 5 inches there. And then we do go what looks to be a bit wider. Again, I'm just trying to guess the measurements here. We're going to go a bit wider here at the bottom. And so because of those extra flaps, we're again going to be 5.5, but then those flaps are going to width out to about 8.5 inches. But again, that's going to be at the bottom where it's going to go wide to 8.5 inches. And so truthfully, I would prefer that they would have stretched this out. So rather than just being this section here, I would have really preferred that they came out like somewhere in this general area on the design of this, just because my thought is you've got something that's pointed, let's say it's a few inches, right? So if it's centered, you got a few inches from the center, you're going to be real near the edge of that pad in those scenarios if it's kind of laying sideways when you're leaking, I guess is the word I'll use with that. So that's definitely going to be concerned with these. In regards to how well it holds the water though, I've left it on there, I've turned it over, those sorts of things, and it's not leaking water. So that part is definitely excellent with these incontinence underwear.